Hello everyone, Johnny Mind here, and today we are continuing to learn Japanese with Pokémon Snap. Last time we started this series, but we barely played the game itself, because first we checked all the things before even starting the game, of course. The box art, the title screen, the first options. Then we started our save file, but had to choose our name and of course the writing is there. And we started the Ox intro. Let's call it like that. That is what Oak says at the start of the game. But we didn't have time to finish it, so today we start with that. I think we'll also still check at least a couple of the options, but after that we'll try to actually play the game itself. Okay, without further ado, let's start with Oak's intro. Yeah, this is the that expression. Yeah, this is what we saw, the last writing we saw last time. Before this, just for those who haven't watched that yet and so on, Oak mentioned calling our protagonist, talked about the Pokemon report. Also mentioned the location, the setting of this game, that is Pokemon Island. Of course, our objective, taking photos of the Pokemon for the Pokemon report. And last but not least, our vehicle, the 01 go in Japanese, so 01 and then go, which means a number. But yeah, after that, we now see, yeah, we have this. Here, Oak says, Nanto 01 go wa このゴールゲートに向かって勝手に進んでいくんじゃ. First and foremost, we have Nanto, which is an exclamation, comes from Nani. Okay. Hope we're fine. Okay, I think so. Yeah, it's an exclamation comes from Nani, which means what. The adverb, the interrogative adverb, what. Here abbreviated as nan. As we'll see, Nani is the original form, still used in several contexts in Japanese, but there's also this abbreviation, which is used in certain expressions, specific expressions. Like, for example, this one, nan plus to, which is in this case, to is the quotation particle. So usually would be with a verb of saying, like you, which means to say, or simply to imply a quotation, and so with a what. And yeah, that's why I say that it's technically an exclamation, as it in this case it serves as it indicates, as it says also in the dictionary here, surprise, admiration, and so on. And so its translation would be with a what, or even better, could be implied you, as I mentioned, to say saying with with a what, and so in the sense of what something, how. Like, for example, here in the example on the dictionary, it's what a wonderful invention, and funny enough, it's perfect also considering for our game, Nanto Subarashi Hatsume Daro is the example sentence there, yeah. In this case, in our case, it's what or the other translations also simply as in oh my, wow, or surprisingly, and so on. But yeah, it's an exclamation for surprise, admiration, and so on. And by the way, nani on its own is accented on the first syllable. Nan also. And so yeah, also in this case, simply adding the particle to, and yeah, it's accented on the first syllable. Then we have, again, 0, 1, go. 0 and 1 are from English, 0 and 1. Go, as mentioned last time, means number. There are several words for number technically in Japanese, but this is a typical one used as a suffix. As we can see here, after the numbers, in our case 0, 1 in English, we add go to say number, also in the sense of course, edition, model, issue, and yeah, so the 01 model would be in our case, since it's a vehicle. As you can see, by the way, we have the quotation particles, the Japanese quotation particles around 01 go. And yeah, because it's in this case to put emphasis, put the attention on it. And also, as we soon see, on this other element, which Ok is explaining now. By the way, as a reminder, Ok's name in Japanese is Okido, most likely from orchid. But yeah, we have after that we have the topic particle wa, written as ha. And so, as for well, I'd say we can keep the nanto at the start separated potentially, or surprisingly, one of the translations we have seen. As for the 01 number, as in the name of our vehicle, then we have Kono, which is again part of the Koso Ado series, close to both the speaker and the listener. So far from both, so far from the speaker, close to the listener, are far from both, do, the corresponding interrogative. In this case, and by the way, ko, so, are unaccented, usually do accented on the first syllable, so on the do itself. In this case, we have kono, so the demonstrative adjective, and so we have, as expected, a name after it. This something, which is the topic of this, what Oak wants to introduces in this sentence, which is the goru geto, simply from English, goal gate. We check the accents, but I don't remember if goal we have seen it before. Geto, I don't think, but yeah, goru, accented as expected on the first syllable, just like in English. Goal, in all the senses you would expect, especially in sports. But also goal in general as in objective. Then we have geto, gate. I think also accented on the first syllable, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, accented on the first syllable, as expected. Then we have the particle ni, which means to, towards, in this case, because of the following verb. Well, technically verbs. First and foremost, we have mukatte. I think we have seen it at least once before during a series. But either way, it's from mukau. I think unaccented, but we'll check. Which means to face. To face, and so also by extension to go towards, to head towards. And yeah, I'd say technically in this case it's to go towards, to head towards, even though technically the meaning of is also in the following verb, as we'll see soon enough. But yeah, then we have to make the te form. It's a u verb, codan verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in u, and so it becomes double consonant te, as a reminder, because it's the verbs in u were actually in fu, so actually pu. So most likely they used to be in p, muka pi te, the continuative form, then te. But of course, but then the e fell, and then ukap-te, difficult to pronounce, becomes the doubling of the consonant te. And yeah, as I it was unaccented, by the way. I saw also the te form. In this case, it could be the te form required either by to make the action of that verb and, or by doing the action of that verb. Also could be technically while doing the action of the verb. Honestly, I'd say either and or while in this case, but we'll see, of course, when we fully translate. Then we have katteni, which is an adverb. As we can see, by the way, because of the ni in this case, because the word on its own would be katte. We check its accent. Unaccented, okay. It's an adjective, which means on its own, usually one's own convenience, one's way, selfishness. By extension, also simply way of doing things, convenience, as in ease of use, other extended meanings. But yeah, it's an adjective, so to make the adverb, we add ni. And so we get katteni, which means, as we mentioned, the original meaning, one's way. And so it means arbitrarily, of its own accord, even better, as closer to the meaning of katte on its own. And yeah, then the other several meanings, but yeah. Of course, simply by itself, like in our case. Then, last but not least, we have the main verb, susunde, and then of course also iku, from susumu. We have seen it before, this also in, as I mentioned, in Kirby's Adventure, on one of the signs going to the next level, and so world, also in our previous series, Super Mario Advance 4. Susumu means to advance, is unaccented, by the way, to go forward. And yeah, so it's our meaning. In this case, there are other extended meanings, but this is the fundamental one, to advance. We make also here the te form. It's another verb code verb, so we have to follow the rules. Being in mu, it becomes de. Simple, considering that mu, the M is a nasal, and so we keep it, even though as the separated nasal, and then it also changes, makes the te voiced. And so we have susunde. The te form here required to then add iku, which means on its own to go, unaccented. When used after the te form, it means it usually indicates the direction, also figuratively in the sense of with a temporal sense, but it's not our case. Here it's physically. It's used after the te form of a verb to indicate that the action of that verb has that kind of direction. So, imagine from our starting point, it goes away from there, and so go. If it were an action that came towards our starting point, then we'd use the opposite, the verb kuru, to come. But yeah, here it's simply to further specify that the 0, 1 go goes, advances, and goes towards the goal gate, and so away from the starting point. But yeah, of course, then after that we have again nja. We have seen it last time, and also in its regular form many times before. we have no, the usual nominalizer for verbs. Could also be translated as fact, matter, similar to koto, thing as in matter, but in this case used in the expression no plus the copula, da in plain speech, des in polite speech. In this case, since ok is an old character, he uses za instead, which is the copula typical of old characters in fiction. And the meaning of no da or any of its variants is the explanation is that the fact is that, or even simply it is that. So yeah, we can now translate. Surprisingly, as for the 0-1 model, let's say in this case, it advances on its own. The fact is that it advances on its own while going towards the goal gate. And yeah, we have now our translation, so we can continue. Yeah, let's wait a second, that of course. And yeah, then we had these. These. Where Oak asked us this question. 今の話をもう一度聞きたいかな? First and foremost, we have ima, which means now. This moment, the present time. But the fundamental translation, now. By the way, accented on the first syllable, keep it in mind since there's another ima accented on the last syllable with a different meaning. But yeah, this one is accented on the first one, ima. And that's again why we check all these accents as they can be useful for that. Then we have the possessive particle no. So, of now. Of course, after that, a noun modified by it, which in our case is hanashi. From a verb, hanasu, which means to talk, to speak, to converse, to chat. Also to tell. Technically, as it says here, to explain, to narrate, and so on, but we also have more specific verbs for those meanings. The fundamental one, I say, to talk, to speak, but also can be used for to tell. And by the way, of course, to speak also in the sense of to speak a language. It's accented. It's a U-verb, Godan verb. So we can change the U into I to make the corresponding, the continuative form of the verb. In this case, used to make the corresponding noun. Of course, as you might imagine, well, first and foremost, luckily, I checked it's accented on the last syllable, so regular. As you have seen, that's the case for verbs as a rule. There are some exceptions. But yeah, its meaning is talk, speech, chat, conversation, so all the corresponding nouns to the meaning of the verbs we mentioned. Technically also, as in by extension, topic, subject, discussions, and so on. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is talk, speech. And so, so far the translation is the speech of now, literally. In English, better to translate it as I'd say something to still keep it somewhat close. My speech so far, with an implied my, of course, Oak is the one who has spoken, so we can simply add that. But yeah, then we have, of course, the the object particle o, written as wo and pronounced as such in careful speech and also singing. Then we have mo ichido. I think we have seen it before, or maybe we have seen the similar expression mo ikai. There they have the same meaning practically, and also quite similar composition. First and foremost, we have mo, which means again. Should be accented on the first syllable. I'll check quickly. Sorry, check it like this. Already, by now, yet. Yeah, the fundamental meaning is say already. And also by extension, soon, shortly, and the one that interests us further, more. And yeah, more is the one that interests us in the sense of, as we'll see soon enough, once more. Because after this more, we have ichido, which is yet another, as we have seen, like ikai, which I mentioned, numeral plus counter combination. Do is a counter of Chinese origin, which actually has several meanings, but as a counter, usually it's the counter for occurrences, just like kai. It's of Chinese origin, and so we use Chinese numbers, ichi in our case, so one time, once. With the mo, once more. Ichido on its own is accented on the last syllable. Unfortunately, the online dictionary plus plugin combination doesn't tell me the accent of mo ichido. I check if it's present in the physical dictionary. If not, we'll simply deduce it. Okay, got the physical dictionary. Let's see if we can find it. Hey, SKS, nice to see you here. Okay, let's quickly check if I can find it here. The full expression in case it changes. Otherwise, simply keep in mind the accents of the individual words. Let's see more. Okay, good thing I checked, because actually the expression mo ichido, according to the dictionary, is unaccented, so be careful. Although it makes sense considering that, the accent of mo gets ignored in this case, and then it keeps the accent that we have left is the one of ichido. As we mentioned, accented on the last syllable, but without anything after it, and of course it's difficult to have something after it in this case, other than potentially, well, not in this specific case, but with ichido on its own, apart from the possessive particle no, which we have seen, unfortunately makes words accented on the last syllable unaccented. But yeah, without anything after them, words accented on the last syllable and unaccented words sound the same. And so yeah, again, that's most likely why it says it's unaccented here. So yeah, makes sense because of that. Yeah, once more. And then we have a verb, kikitai, from kiku, to hear. Okay. To hear, unaccented. I think we might have seen before. Also, we've seen the verb itself before for sure, I think, because of Kirby's adventure at the very end, because to hear, but also to listen to music. And so in that's the meaning that we had there. By extension, keep it in mind, since even though technically it could be used, we could use a different kanji to distinguish it. In that case, well, also in the case of to listen. By extension, it can also mean to ask, to inquire, because technically, if you ask someone, then you want to hear from them something. And yeah, that's most likely why that's the case. Here, we then change, it's a u verb, godan verb, so we can change the u into i to make the continuative form. In this case, required because we then add tai. Tai, which is technically an adjective, but not used on its own. It's exclusively an auxiliary one, and it's used to make the form want to do the action of the main verb. Would like to do the action of the main verb. And yeah, so it's the want to, would like to, used in this form, as we'll see when talking about oneself. I want. When asking the one we are talking to, the ones we are talking to, you want, as we'll see, when used with to express what a third person wants to, and so technically also, well, a third person, we have to use a different form based on this one, but we'll see it when the time comes. Keep in mind for now, I or you, as if we are asking a question, like in this case, want to, would like to. And last but not least, we have kana, final sentence particle. Technically, a combination of, as we can see, ka, the usual interrogative particle, and then we have this na. We have seen it elsewhere as an for emphasis, or at least I mention it because it's more or less corresponding to no, but no is used by elderly characters or those in the past, as we have seen in this very game. But in this case, the combined ka, na, is used to make the I wonder. The meaning is I wonder, usually. Also could be should I, of course, because it would be like I wonder if I should, in a sense, or is it? Yeah, this is the meaning here, I'd say. Yeah, the fundamental meaning is I wonder. So there's a doubt, there's or at least more than doubt, maybe uncertainty, we could say. Yeah, now we can translate my, where we'll add, well, do you want to hear I wonder if you if you'd like to hear my speech of now, literally, my as my addition to make it sound better in English once more. And so yeah, funny enough, also considering the responses, which I check immediately, we have with the A button, un. Un is the one of the ways to say yes. This is a more colloquial one than hi, which we have seen that before. Yeah, it also exists, and as we can see here. But then we have mo, mo, ya, for the B button. Literally, mo we have seen already. And then we have the the adjective yoi, which means good. So literally it would be it's already good. And so its meaning, as also mentioned here in the dictionary, it's skip it, drop it, in the sense of I've had enough, that's enough. So it's already good as is. After that we have this ya, which in this case I'd say it's a final sentence particle. Well, technically you could think that it's if it weren't any adjective, you could think that it could be the copula, as in the Kansai dialect. But in this case, let's say simply a particle, even though it isn't even mentioned here. I'd say simply like o. Technically, it has such a meaning in other contexts, and yeah, I'd say it's something similar here. So yeah, no, I was laughing because it's a trap. It's the if you press A by mistake because you think that A is to proceed, you'd be mistaken because then the speech would loop. And yeah, that's because that's why I chose B last time instead. And last but not least, I have to go slightly, here, perfect. We have the final part of Oak's speech. After we say that it's enough as is, he says, Dewa, shashin no torikata wa, saisho no kousu de oshieyo. Then we have the other part, but we'll stop here for now. First and foremost, we have Dewa. It's actually simply, we have seen, don't think maybe at the start of a sentence, but we have seen this kind of structure before, because de is actually the form of the copula. And then we have the topic particle wa. When we have the form of a verb, in our case the copula, followed by wa, the meaning is as for that, what has been said, that the form of that verb, in our case, what has been said before, implied if it is like that, as for that, if it is like that, so the meaning of the structure te wa is an if, but yeah, most likely because actually as for that, if it is like that. And so yeah, simply having the wa at the start of a sentence means that it's like English, well then, or also well on its own, simply with the similar meaning, then, even on its own with the similar meaning, so, but yeah, literally in Japanese. As for that, what has been said before implied, if it is like that implied, so, well then, we have then, after that, shashin, which we have seen, it's the Japanese word, actually it's a Chinese compound, and so should be an accent. I think we have seen last time, yes it is, which means photograph. Then we have the possessive particle no. After that, we have a noun, torikata, which is actually a compound from toru, a verb, which means to take. We have seen to take in general when using a certain kanji. When using another one, to take specifically photos, and so of course in our case it's taking photos. It's a verb got verb, so we can change the u into e to make the continuative form. In this case, actually required to then add kata. Actually, the accent on its own should be kata. On the last syllable, yes it is, also according to the dictionary, which on its own would mean direction, way, by extension also person. It's the honorific form to say person. The more common one is hito, and also more specific. Kata is an honorific one, most likely because, as we'll see, these expressions of direction, way, also other ones, by extension become the person in that direction, and so on, and so simply person, usually honorific forms. But because of that meaning direction, way, by extension it also becomes method of, manner of, way of, as you can see why, because of the meaning way of. It's used as a suffix with verbs. After the continuative form of a verb, if we add kata, like in our case, we then get way of doing the action of the verb. In our case, way of taking. In our case, way of taking photographs. Photos. And by the way, luckily, it also mentions the accent here on the dictionary, which is on the last syllable, so just like kata on its own. Tori kata. Tori on its own, luckily, is if we used it as the corresponding noun, so taking, and so on, would be accent on the last syllable as per the rule. But yeah, oops. Sorry, there was a call. But yeah, as I was saying, then we have the topic particle wa, and so far the translation is as for well then, as for the way of taking photographs, literally the way of taking the method of taking of photographs. Then we have saisho. Saisho, which means it's a Chinese compound, a combination of the usual, we have seen it before, I think, sai, which means most. And then we have sho, in this case, which is uses the kanji of, which means beginning. And so, literally would be the most beginning, the most first time. And so, yeah, simply the beginning, the outset, as it says also here, first. And yeah, it's unaccented, luckily as expected, since it's a Chinese compound. Then we have the possessive particle no. This saisho modifies the following noun, which is course, simply course from English, of course. We'll check its accent, but it should be on the first syllable, just like just like in English. Perfect. Then we have the particle de. You can barely see the duck 10, but it's there. And so it's used in this case to make as the locative particle, then one at in, used with most verbs, like the one we'll see soon enough, not with the ones of staying, as they also use ni instead, as we have seen several times before. And last but not least, we have the verb oshieo, which comes from it's oshieru, I think unaccented, but we'll check, which means to teach. Yes, unaccented, to teach, to instruct. Also, by extension, simply to tell, to inform. Technically, to show in the sense of telling someone. It's the ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru to then add yo, u, so long yo, and so make the volitional form of the verb. In this case, with its most common meaning, let's. And so, yeah, the translation is, well then, as for the way of taking photographs, let's teach you, implied, at the first, the very first would be, with that, to be even closer to the meaning of saisho, at the very first course. Last but not least, we have this part, tanonda zo toru. We have first and foremost a verb. Tanomu, which means to request. It's the fundamental meaning. Tanomu, yeah, it's accented, okay, so as I thought. To request, to beg, to ask, but yeah, the fundamental meaning to request. By extension, also to entrust to, which is the meaning, I'd say, here, in this case. Also to entrust to, also to rely on, other meanings here, yeah, even better for our case. Also kind of, as in, please do. I'd say another translation in English for this case would be, I'm counting on you. Here we have then to make the ta form of the verb. It's a verb got on verb, so we have to follow the rules. It ends in mu, so it becomes da, just like we have seen before for the te form, just with ta, of course, da in this case, da. The past form of the verb in plain speech, because technically Professor Rock has asked us that, even though in translation we can translate it as I mentioned, like I'm counting on you, and then of course we then have also the name. But before the name of our protagonist, Toru, by the way, as I mentioned before, most likely in our protagonist called Toru, as in reference from Toru, to take pictures, to take photos, but also potentially Toru, the verb which means to go by, to go along, to travel along, also run between, for example, of a bus service, of a rail, of a bus. And so, yeah, I think it could be a double pun, because as we have seen, we'll travel on these rails, as we can kind of see also in this image on the top right. And as Oak mentioned with the 01 Go, the 01 machine, going forward, advancing on its own, and yeah, it could be a double pun. So, but yeah, before that, we also have immediately after the verb zo, which is a particle, usually male term or language, which adds force or indicates a command. Could be kind of a command in this case, in the sense, I'm counting on you, please do it. And yeah, with that, we have seen this. And yeah, we can now, we have finally seen this intro. I'd say we can now take our usual break, around 5 minutes as usual. And after that, I'd say we can actually start at this point. we are not checking the more options now. We'll simply start actually playing the game. Okay, see you in around. Sorry, close here. See you in around 5 minutes. And we are back. And now we can actually start playing the game. As usual, we can see the change, the color change, the sound effect, because I'm playing with the N64 controller. But yeah, let's start. We've already seen the intro, also the title screen. But yeah, as we can see here now, we have this, because we have technically, even though barely last time, we have started the game. So from the start, as a reminder, Hajime Kara. And by the way, I think if I can, it's worth testing now, considering that if we accidentally press something, we simply see the intro game, but we can quickly go through it. Yeah, we have this, so this one I'd like to check out now. And then we'll actually start playing the game. Hajime Kara o erabu to tsugi ni kiroku suru toki ni kore made no kiroku o keshite kiroku shimasu. And then we have a short question after that, but first let's check this long part. Hajime Kara, between quotes, of course, because it's referring to the option called Hajime Kara from the start, as we have seen last time. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb erabu. I think accented actually when we saw it last time, and it means to choose, to select. Yes, accented. Then we have to, here used as a conditional form if, when. The one with to is the closest one to zero conditional in English, so if the action of the verb with to happens, then everything else after it happens inevitably, but can also be used as a when, as in a temporal meaning, but the connotation is still similar. So if, when you choose Hajime Kara, so from the start, then we have tsugi. I think actually accented on the tsugi. Yeah, accented on the last syllable. Here, in this case, by the way, by adding ni after it, we can actually hear that it's accented on the last syllable instead of being unaccented. So, tsugi ni. Tsugi ni. Tsugi means next, following, subsequent. Ni, we add ni in this case as it's used as the particle for a specific time. So in this case, the next time. Then we have kiroku, between quotes. We have barely seen it at the end. I chose it at the end of last episode. Kiroku means to record. Well, sorry. First and foremost, technically it's a Chinese compound, and so used on its own as a noun. Should be unaccented, and yes, it is, as per the rule. So, record. Document, other various meanings, recording several senses also in sports, but also keeping a record of something. Even better, as in writing down, most likely it's the original meaning, considering also it's kanji. But being a Chinese compound, a noun, we can add suru to make the corresponding verb, literally to do, recording. And so, to record. In this case, it's to record as in our progress. Another way to say to save. And yeah, here we have Kiroku between quotes again because it's the actual option, it's the name of the option. But then we have suru as mentioned. So, to do recording, as in saving. Then we have toki. Should be also accented on the last syllable, I think. Yes, it is. Which means time, hour, moment. Also, by extension, occasion, case, chance, opportunity. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is time. And as we can see, again, we have ni, because it's yet again ni used with a specific time. So, literally at the time of doing a recording. In translation, easier to say toki ni, when you do the recording, when you save. Then we have kore made. First and foremost, kore, again, part of the Koso Ado series, unaccented. Here it's the demonstrative pronoun, as we can see with the re. Then we have made, usually on its own, accented on the ma, and also in this case, since the previous word is unaccented, up to, until this, up to this. Then we have the possessive particle no. To connect that koremade to the following noun and modify it, which is again kiroku. So the records, as in the save of literally up to now, up to this implied moment. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb keste from kesu. Should be unaccented, it means to erase. And yeah, it's unaccented. Also, by the way, as a reminder, I think I mentioned it before, also used as one of the verbs for the meaning to turn off a light, TV, and so on, to switch off, because technically you are erasing, deleting the light. So hopefully temporarily. But yeah, fundamental meaning to erase, to delete. Here we have to make the te form. It's a verb code verse, so we have to follow the rules. It's in su, so luckily it becomes si, so simply the continuative form, and then we add te. again, that form, in this case, either everything we have said up to now and the rest of the sentence, or also could be again by doing, while doing. I'd say in this case maybe better to keep an and to avoid the confusion. And then last but not least, we have again kiroku with the verb suru. In this case, in the form shimasu, so we have to make first and foremost the continuative form of suru. It's completely irregular, so we simply have to remember that it becomes shi, and then we add mas. We add mas, which is the auxiliary verb to make the polite form of the verb. In this case, mas, present and affirmative. And so yeah, the translation is if or when you choose from the start, when you save, literally record, but in the sense of save the next time, you save, you delete the progress up to this, up to now, up to this point, and save. Or we could translate it as you save by deleting the progress up to this point. And then last but not least, we simply have Yoroshi desu ka. Yoroshi, we have seen it before, I think, in the previous series. It's simply an adjective, of course. Yet again means good, okay, alright, fine, and so on. So, just like yoi. But this one is honorific language. So, yeah. We could say it's the honorific form of yoi. Then we have, of course, the des, which is usually we have seen it as the copula, but in this case it's technically not the copula, but simply we add it to make the polite form of an adjective, because adjectives don't use the copula usually, and so it's simply added because of that. And last but not least, we have ka, the interrogative particle already mentioned, and also an interrogative, a question mark. Not strictly required in Japanese. Ka on its own would be enough, but of course it can still be used to be even clearer, and of course also to for stylistic purposes, to really show also the interrogative, the tone of the sentence as a question. Yeah. And then, of course, at the bottom we have the options. Hi, already mentioned, yes, the standard form. Ie, accented on the last syllable. No, the standard form. Yeah, I wanted to check it now, since if I pressed hi by mistake, then wouldn't have been the best. But yeah, we'll choose no. And so we'll actually go back to the title screen. We don't watch the demo. And we'll choose instead this option. Suzuki kara, from Suzuku, which means to continue. This is the intransitive form of the verb. The transitive one is suzukeru. sorry, suzukeru, also unaccented, both are unaccented. So again, intransitive in u, transitive in eru. To continue, it's a verb code verb, so we can change the u into e to make the continuative form, and so the corresponding noun. So, continuation. And then, of course, again, kara, the particle, which means from. So, literally, from the continuation. And so, yeah, it's the option we choose now to continue the game. We get this, Professor Ox says this now. Matteita zo toru. First and foremost, we have the verb matteita from matsu, which means to wait, should be accented, but we'll check. To wait, to await also. Yeah, accented. We make the te form, it's a verb code verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in su, so it becomes a double consonant te. Okay, most likely si. Actually, at the time, simply t, te. Then the e fell, and so mat te. Yeah, actually, of course, as the doubling of the consonant of the following te. Te form here required to then add the verb iru here in its ta form, as we'll see soon enough. Iru on its own usually means to be, as in to exist, but when following the te form of a verb, it means continuing action or state. Here, continuing action. Then it's a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru and add ta to make the ta form, and so the past form in plain speech. And so here, I've been waiting for you. For you implied, of course. Then we have again zo, so adding force or as a command. Say force in this case simply. And then of course the name of our protagonist, Toru. I've been waiting for you, Toru. Then we have Kyomo I shashin o tanomu zo. First and foremost we have kyo, which is the word which means today. Accent on the first syllable, yes, as I remembered. Technically, as we will see eventually, it uses the kanji, which means which has the strictly Japanese reading ima, and then the one for hi, unaccented, as in day. Technically also some, but nowadays mostly days. So literally would be this day. You might wonder why it's pronounced kyo then. Technically, the one with for ima would be as pronounced as ke, and then he as an alternative form fu. But as I mentioned before, a fu in the middle of the word usually then became simply u. So ke u. It has to be added that at the time e was actually pronounced as ye. So kieu. And yeah, from there you can kieu. You can guess why then the further change became kyo u, and so then long yo kyo. After that, we have the inclusive particle mo. So also today. Then we have I, already mentioned good, the adjective. Shashin, photographs. The object particle o. And last but not least, again, tanomu and zo. So the translation becomes also today I request implied from you good photos, and then of course we have the so at the end here, as in kind of a command or simply false, we could say, but yeah. Also, we could say simply as an to give more emphasis. Yeah, and that here we have this option, which is what we'll pick now. Kosu e shashi no tori ni ikun zana. First and foremost, we have kosu, of course, again, course. E, written as he, towards. This one, even more so, the direction, the distinction between e and ni usually is that e is more the direction in itself. Ni can also mean the destination. So yeah, to the course, towards the course. In this case, actually used also e instead of ni because of the following ni with another use. Shashin, again, photo, the object particle o. Tori, ni. Tori from toru, again to take, in this case of course specifically to take photos. We make the continuative form, it's u verb coda verb, so we change the u into I to make the continuative form. In this case required by the following ni. Ni and iku. When we use ni, the continuative form of a verb, the particle ni after it, and a verb of going, to go or to come usually, iku or kuru, it means go to do the action of the verb in the continuative form followed by ni, and that's why we use we, ni, go to as in the purpose, to do the action of the verb. And then of course we have again nza, no, da, so. And last but not least, an a. In this case, I'd say could be simply to when used to seek confirmation, also emphasis. It's actually similar in the sense to ne, and usually you'd use nowadays ne, but sometimes na can be used instead, like in this case. But yeah, usually you use ne and it would have a similar meaning. Yeah, so the translation is the thing is, the fact is that you are going, you'll go, or even better, because it's in the present, the verb, but the present can be used also for such a simple future that you implied. You'll go to take pictures. You'll go to the course, and that's why when we have this verb continuative form ni plus verb of going expression, when we want to say the place where we are going to do that action, we usually put that in with the particle e. And yeah, with that we have last but not least, then we have te, che te già. We have of course the icon of the A button, simply. The particle, which in this case means with, as in the means. And we have again che te, we've seen it before in the options, which means decision, also determination, as in the sense to decide, to and then of course we have the copula, già in the case of Professor Oak, again because he's old. The decision is with A, as in you decide by pressing A. And yeah, we'll actually use it. And the option, as we can see on the top left, is course ni iku. Go to the course. And yeah, we'll choose that. This course, on the top left, we can see it's called bici. So simply beach like in English. Should be accented, yes, like in English on the first syllable. Then we have its description, we'll check that. Scatto hareta bici ka. First and foremost, we have sucatto. It's simply, as you might have guessed from the to at the end, an onomatopoeia. The to technically is the quotation particle again with a ska. Then we have that small tsu, which in the onomatopoeia itself would be cutting short the previous vowel, but then of course becomes also doubling of the following to. Scatto should be accented on the ka. Yes, it's accented on the ka as expected. The accent would be before the to, and so the previous syllable, so on the ka, because it can stay on just the small tsu, doubling out of the consonant. But yeah, that scat is actually with a feeling of relief, refreshingly, pleasantly. Also a weight off one's shoulder. Another meaning, but it's unrelated, so we'll ignore it for now. So, refreshingly, pleasantly. Then we have hareta from hareru. We check its accent, but it means to clear up, as in to be to clear away, to be sunny, even simply. Also used as in to stop raining, because of course to clear up again. But yeah, in this case let's see is simply to be sunny. Other extended meanings, but they don't interest us for now, because here it's well, technically would be also to refresh spirits, but yeah, here it's first and foremost physically sunny, and it's accented, so hareru. Here we make the ta form. It's a ru verb, it's an verb, so we drop the ru and the ta, so hareta. The accent of the te and ta forms are on the third syllable, so it moves. Third to last, syllable, so it moves in this case. Hareta. So technically cleared up, literally sunny, simply in English it's better when translating. And then of course technically all that with this verb, then we have beachy, and so it's actually a relative clause referred to the beach. And then we have ka again, technically the interrogative particle, but as we can see also kind of because of the longer vowel with that small a, and also because of the period instead of the question mark, even though technically even with that it could mean it could still be a question. But yeah, it's even clearer because of the longer a and the small a. So in this case it's more like a So yeah, not exactly a question, but kind of like if he was speaking to himself, it's kind of a comment. I see a beach refreshingly sunny. Then we have kimochi yosaso na basho da na. First and foremost, we have kimochi. It's a compound noun from ki, our usual ki, unaccented, as in spirit, mind, heart, all the extended meanings. Then we have mochi. On its own would be accented on the chi, because it's actually from the verb motsu, which means to hold. Other extended meanings, but yeah, the fundamental one is to hold. It's a verb colon verb, so we can change the u into i to make the continuative form. And so the corresponding noun, holding. And so holding of spirit, mind, and so on. So yeah, actually kimochi, by the way, unaccented. So maybe because of the mochi at the end with the accent on the last syllable. Could be, again, just like we've seen before. But yeah, keep in mind that it's unaccented as the compound. Literally holding of the spirit, as in your current state of mind. So yeah, kimochi means feeling, sensation, state of mind. Other extended meanings. After that we have yosaso from yoi, again yoi, good. Then we have in this case to add so, which we have seen before, means looks like, looking, appearing that, seeming that. But to make that form for yoi, and certain other adjectives, we have to drop the E and add sa. Unfortunately, it's a rule. And yeah, we get this yo sa so. So looks, looking good. And by the way, kimochi, I didn't mention it, can be used also on its own, like this, literally feeling good, yeah. Feeling nice, feeling pleasant. Not that difficult, it's simply the meanings combined. So then requires the na particle. Or even, well, let's avoid calling na a particle because of its origin. But yeah, so it's a na adjective. So to attach it to a following noun, we have to add na, like in this case. Noun which is basho. Should be an accented, we have seen it before. Means place. Place, location, and so on. Yes, an accented. Then we have, of course, the copula, da. And last but not least, na, this time long, as usual it is. And yeah, it means it's kind of like a wow, ooh. Express admiration, emotionality, and so on. And so yeah, the translation is wow, it looks it's a place that looks like it is that it feels good. Better in translation, wow, it's a place where you'd feel where you should feel good or something like that. But yeah, a good looking place, a nice place, even better to further simplify it, but have a better translation. But yeah, last but not least, then we have I shashin o totte kuru zo. Again, I good, shashin photo, o the object particle, sorry. Totte, again from toru, take, in this case pictures, photos, that I form. And last but not least, kuru. In this case, we have the kuru as in the after the te form of a verb, literally simply as in the meaning do the action of the verb in the te form and come back, and come implied back. And last but not least, again, so for the emphasis, force. Yeah, we'll press it. And yeah, now Ok says here, kono kosu ni ikou kana. Kono, again, this, the adjective, kosu, course, ni, to. Notice that in this case it's our destination, so we use ni. Last but not least, we have ikou. From iku, to go. It's a u verb, godan verb, so we can change the u into o, u, so long o, to make the volitional form, and so let's. And then, of course, again, kana, I wonder. In translation, maybe better as should we go to this course. And yeah, then we have the options. First with a let's go. Let's go from English. So I'll quickly check if I can find its accent, but yeah, it's simply yeah, technically the accent of let's go, it stays in Japanese simply on the or the let's. On its own, then go would be accented, so on the go, the first syllable, yeah, let's go. The option with B, on the other hand, is yappari, yameta. First and foremost, we have yappari. Actually, the basic form of would be yahari, accented on the ha, so yahari, and also in this case yappari on the pa. It's yet another form. Well, yahari technically is the fundamental one. Yappari is actually more common, but it's technically more colloquial. Technically, it uses ya when written with kanji, even though nowadays it's usually written with kana alone. The one for ya for arrow, and hari from haru, unaccented. Several meanings, technically also to stick to paste, but with another kanji. This one usually to stretch, to spread, to tighten. But yeah, simply it's technically an expression which actually means as expected, as the stretching maybe with a bow of an arrow, or when you make it as expected, sure enough, just as one thought. And so also after all, in the end, and other similar meanings, but yeah. Then last but not least, we have the verb yameta from yameru, which means well, there's another meaning with other kanji, but we won't focus on it for now. Which means to stop, as in to stop an activity, to cease, to discontinue, to end, to quit. Also as in to cancel, to abandon, to give up. It's unaccented, yeah, as I thought. It's a root verb, it's an verb, so we can drop the root and then add ta to make the ta form, and so in the past. And so the translation is after all, literally, I have stopped, I have cancelled, I've abandoned, I've abolished, or even better, I have given up. Yeah, that's explains better why it uses technically the past. Yeah, we'll unfortunately, don't think we have enough time to play a stage, because technically, as we see, there are a lot of additional writings. Again, it's the classic that since we have all these writings at the start of the game, these new writings at the start of the game, this is what happens, as we've seen. But yeah, Considering that, I'd say it's actually better to keep it for next time. Luckily, we won't have more intros and so on. So we'll actually check now instead these additional writings here. So we won't have to check them anymore. On the bottom left, we can see Modoru again, which means to return, to go back. We've seen it also on the signs in Kirby's Adventure when going to the previous level, so on. The description, well, what Ox says is Shashino Torini Iku no wa Yame ni Shiyou kana. First and foremost, we have Shashin, again photo, or the object particle. Torini Iku, we have seen it before, go to take the photos. Then we have no, again the nominalizer, the nominalizer for verbs. The fact of going to take the pictures, photos. Then we have the topic particle wa, as for the fact of, and so on. Yame ni, again from yameru, to stop, to give up. In this case, we make the continuative form by it's a ru verb, it's done verb again, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form. In this case, required because then we had ni. In this case, unlike the one above required by the expression ni iku, go to do the action, here required by the verb, the following verb suru. Here in its volitional form, again, suru completely irregular, so it becomes shiyou, let's. The form, continuative form of a verb, ni plus the verb suru, means to decide. Literally, we could say to make it so that and the action, of course, of the verb in the continuative form before this expression. And then last but not least, again, kana. Here lengthened, but doesn't change. So the translation is, as for the fact of going to take the pictures, I wonder if we should, better in translation, make it so we give up. I wonder if we should decide to stop, to give it up, of course, for now. And yeah, we choose, considering that we don't have much time, this option. So unfortunately, we won't be able to check it, to actually play a stage also this time. I'm sorry, but it's what happens when we have all these writings at the start of a game. We quickly check this option because before it gets unlocked, we have this. It's called Pokémon Arubamu. Pokémon again, Pokémon, of course. Arubamu album. Check its accent. Okay, good thing we did, because it's actually one of those unaccented words from English, so be careful. Then we have its description. カメラチェックで写真にアルバムマークをつけると、このアルバムに残せるぞ。First and foremost, we have camera check. Literally camera check from English. We check the accents, but they should be the same. Camera, yeah, on the first syllable as expected, also should be for check. And it is. Then we have the particle de, so the location. Literally at the camera check. We'll see what the camera check is next time when we actually play a level. Then we have a comma. Notice how Japanese commas are again. Then we have 写真 again photo ni to we've seen which sense with the following verb. Then we have album mark in yellow. Album mark, of course, from English. Yeah, mark is accented like in English on the first syllable. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb tsukeru. We have seen it before. This is the one to apply, to add, and so on, to attach. If you apply an album mark to photos at the camera check. And as I anticipated, then after tsukeru we have to, again the conditional, so if you apply or when you apply. Then we have kono, again this, the adjective, arubamu, this album, ni, again to or into. And then we have this verb, nokoseru. Should actually be from nokosu. We check its accent, but it means to leave, the fundamental meaning. Technically, yes, to leave behind, all the potential meaning to leave undone. In this case, to leave as in leaving, as in to set aside, to save, to reserve. Other meanings, but yeah, this is the one that interests us, to leave extended as in to set aside. It's a U verb, Godan verb, so we can change the U into E to make the and then add ru to make the potential form of the verb, and so can do the action of the verb, to be able to do the action of the verb. Nokosu is accented, and so yeah, also the potential form is accented, but of course in this case on the se, on the second to last syllable, nokoseru. And then of course, as usual, so the force emphasis, I also say simply. So yeah, the translation is if you add an album mark to photos in the at the camera check, you implied can set them aside into this album. And yeah, so this is that. And last but not least, at the very bottom, on the bottom left, we have Kiroku. Again, recording. but also in this case, as in this case, in the sense of saving, recording our progress. And we have this what Ox says for this. Kyo no Satsue Ryoko o Kiroku suru kano. First and foremost, we have again kyo, today. Then we have the possessive particle no, of today. Then we have a Chinese compound, but in the sense of combining two Chinese compounds. So technically with with 4 kanji. I definitely won't find it on in the dictionary on its own, but we'll check first Satsue, then Ryoko on its own, and last but not least I'll check Ryoko when adding it as a suffix if possible, if the physical dictionary lists it. Satsue, first and foremost, which means photography, as in the act of photographing, of shooting, or can also be used for video recording, filming. And it's unaccented as expected. It's a Chinese compound. By the way, the satsu at the first satsu is the Chinese reading of the kanji used specifically with the toru, strictly Japanese toru pronunciation, to take specifically of photos. As we'll see when the time comes also for that, but was worth mentioning. Then we have ryoko, quite an important word because it means travel, trip. As the noun, by the way, it's yet again a Chinese compound. Ryo is the one which means trip, travel on its own. Ko is the one used for the in its strictly Japanese reading for iku, to go. So go on a travel, go on a trip. It's unaccented as most Chinese compounds are. But yeah, travel, trip, journey, excursion, tour. As the noun, we can of course make the verb with suru, to travel, to journey, and so on. I'll check quickly in the physical dictionary if I can find its accent with by adding it as a suffix. If it's listed, of course, I kind of have doubts, but yeah, no, you'd have to follow the rules. Which in such a case I think would be, again as usual, either in this case I'd say most likely the first syllable of the second part of the compound, so on the ryoko. I'll quickly check with other words, with yeah, for example, shugaku ryoko. Here on the dictionary, shugaku would mean on its own. Sorry, wanted to check the accent. Yeah, unaccented as expected. It means learning in the context usually of schools. And so yeah, when adding then ryoko, travel, trip, it becomes an excursion, as in a field trip, school trip, and notably is accented on the full compound is accented on the ryo. So shugaku ryoko. So yeah, it would be my guess also for our compound here. Then we have the object particle O, kiroku again. The verb suru, to make it a verb, kiroku. Last but not least, ka no. Simply kana, I'd say. But with this no, no u, so long no, which is again used for old people or characters in the past. So yeah, the translation is I wonder if we should, literally, I wonder if we, better in English, should we record, as in save, the photography, as in the photographing travel, trip, journey, excursion of today. And yeah, we'll say yes. Yeah, we also have this, so we'll quickly check that. Totta shashin o nokoshite okuzo. First and foremost, we have, of course, totta from toru, to take pictures, in this case, specifically. Its ta form, it's in a verb, codon verb in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta. Again, most likely re at some point, the continuative form, then simply the e fell and became double consonant because it was difficult to pronounce. Taken. So, taken. And then we have, of course, shashin, pictures, the taken pictures, the taken photos, then the object particle o. We have again nokoshite from nokosu, to leave, in this case to set aside, to save. We make the te form, it's in u verb, codon verb, we have to follow the rules, luckily in su, so it's easy. Continuative form shi, then te. Then we have the verb oku, which on its own means to put, to place. Also by the extended meaning to leave behind. But yeah, when used after the te form of a verb, it actually means to leave something in a certain state, to keep something in a certain state, or to do something in advance. In this case, let's say to leave something in a certain state, simply, yeah. And then, of course, again, zo. Will it will live in the state of saving the taken pictures with the button un, so yes, so we have already seen. With B, mada I ya. I ya, again, well, first and foremost we have mada, yet, still, not yet, so in this case still, then I could, and yeah, as we have seen, in this case, let's say, as in a O or a H, So yeah, the translation for the B button is I'm still good. So in the sense, of course, that we are not doing that now. Yeah, we are actually doing that now. And it says Kiroku 2. By adding 2 after a Chinese compound, it means as a suffix during, in the middle of, literally, because that's the meaning of the kanji. In the middle of saving, it was. And last but not least, we have this, so we quickly check this as well. So at least we have all these already translated and explained, so we won't have to tackle them anymore. We have first and foremost Mada Mada Gambaru Tsumorika na. Mada Mada, again from Mada, but duplicated in this case, as in, again, the meaning is still, much more, not yet. So yeah, simply it's the same meaning as Mada, but more emphatic. Then we have Gambaru. The Baru is actually from Haru, which we have mentioned before. Haru. In this case, as in to stick. And then we have Gan before it, which means stubborn. And so yeah, we have this verb Gambaru, accented by the way, unlike Haru on its own. We have the voicing of the consonant because it's we have the preceding also could be because it's technically a compound with the second part, which is a strictly Japanese one. So often is the case. Gambaru means to persevere, to persist, to keep at it, to hang on, to hold out, to do one's best. So yeah, to stick to something implied, stubbornly, persistently. And yeah, that's why it has this meaning. Then we have Tsumori, which means well, technically it's from a verb, tsumoru, which its fundamental meaning is to pile up, to accumulate, but by extension to estimate. And that's why when we make the it's a U verb, Godan verb, so to make the continuative form we have to change the U into I. Continuative form in this case used as the corresponding noun. And so estimate, but because of that estimate, by extension it becomes intention, plan, purpose, expectation, also belief, assumption, thought, conviction. But yeah, the fundamental meaning of tsumori nowadays, by the way, unaccented, despite coming from an accented verb, so be careful, is intention, plan. And then, of course, again, kana, I wonder. So, he's asking, I wonder if your implied intention, plan, is to persist, better as in to keep at it, still. And so we have these answers. Mochiron, literally means without argument. And so, of course, certainly, naturally, should be a... Okay, no, one is actually accented on the qi, so be careful, despite being a Chinese compound. Mo-qi-ron. Mo-qi-ron. Of course, certainly, naturally. With B, instead, we have mo yametoku yo. Mo, already, as we have already seen, yametoku comes from yamete, again, the form of yameru, to stop, giving up, and then oku, do in advance, or simply keep it in a certain state, in our case that, then it gets contracted te oku to ku. And so yeah, I'm already giving up, stopping. And yeah, we'll actually choose that option. Unfortunately, I missed that, but honestly, good thing, because I don't have more time today. Already went beyond our usual hour. But yeah, actually close it. Yeah, so we checked, we finished the intro. We actually had a lot of additional writing, so we still haven't started an actual level, but we'll do that next time for sure this time, since we practically have run out apart from the options of writing available to us for now. Okay. Next time should be on Wednesday, unless plans change. Okay. See you next time.